Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Here's the other video I was going to upload this evening. Have 3 videos coming out to you guys, only because I knew the finance one that I talked about probably wouldn't be that popular, so I figured I'd give you guys some of the crazier stuff I like to do during my videos. This is some math that doesn't quite work out until you look into the numbers. And it's 60% of men between the ages of 18 and 29 are single, but only 30% of women are. So obviously there's twice as many women dating as men in that age category. So is it partially from a single man doubling, tripling, quadrupling up on women? I think so. But there's some other interesting statistics that are in here as well that we'll go over. Something that I think is important, though, guys, is that this is why you have to get your head screwed on straight. This is why you have to have a positive mental attitude for your outlook for the future. This is why you need to be okay being a single man. Because if you are desperately wanting a relationship, the odds of it happening for you are less and less. And if you go into it with that mindset, you may find this to be a horrible statistic that the women are dating and the men aren't. But you have to remember that age group of 18 through 29 is also when men are offering the least amount of value, where women offer a lot more value. So if you can struggle and work your way through until you get to your 30s and 40s and upwards, I think the dating and the happiness can still be had for you. You know, I can attest that as a man that I don't think I've ever really dated anybody seriously over the age of 30-ish, like 31, 32, and that includes up to and including the age of 50. You know, I'm mostly dating 20-something women. Why? Because I can, and so I'm going to. And so for those of you guys that can keep a positive mental attitude through this, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So this is from The Hill. I've got a couple different articles I'm going to read. They say most young men are single, most young women are not. More than 60% of young men are single, nearly twice the rate of unattached young women, signaling a larger breakdown in the social, romantic, and sexual life of the American male. Men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. They stand at the vanguard of an epidemic of declining marriage, sexuality, and relationships that afflicts all young America. We're in a crisis of connection, said Niobe Way, a psychology professor and founder of the Project for the Advancement of Our Common Humanity at New York University. Disconnection from ourselves and disconnection from each other, and it's getting worse. Now, let me put a pin in this here, because I'm actually going to move to another article here in a moment. But guys, I will tell you now, if just because you're feeling like you don't want to date and you don't want to put yourself out there, it doesn't mean that you have to be lonely or friendless and not have any activity in your life. It's still out there. There are a lot of other guys that are also lonely and not doing anything. And most of the time you might say, well, I game with some other guys online, or I join some clubs. You know, when I was in Japan, I stayed at a hostel, and a lot of the hostels over there have other things attached to them. This particular one had a dart room that had, I want to say maybe 6 electronic dart boards. It had, I think it had 1 pool table. It had a couple of pinball machines and video slots and other things. And at all hours of the night, it was open. And I'd get out of my hostel bed to walk to the bathroom, which was beyond the game machines and things like that. There were groups of young men. Sometimes there might be one girl that was maybe dating one of the guys. You'd see 4, 6, 8, 10 guys in there playing darts and hanging out and having beers and laughing. And it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, if you are in a kind of a negative rut, kind of in a bad place, and you feel like you need some friends, you got to get out there and start hunting for them. I'm not much to be on social media, but I'll tell you now that getting on social media to find groups might be helpful. I, as a matter of fact, just found a group, or they found me actually, that when I purchased my motorcycle, my most recent motorcycle, there's an Indian motorcycle riding group, and they emailed me, and they're like, hey, we see you just bought an Indian motorcycle. We ride, I think it's Saturdays at 10 a.m. when the weather's nice, and we meet up at the garage where you bought the bike. So if you want to come riding, So what am I going to do? Probably, if it's nice this Saturday or next Saturday or whatever, I'll hop on the bike. I'll go meet them. We'll go for a ride and maybe make some new friends out of it. So if you are kind of down and out about this, find a way to get back into the community. Do not isolate yourself. It's very, very important. Anyway, they go on, and this kind of whole article is a bit of a Debbie Downer. I don't want to read out of that because I think in some ways this doesn't have to be a bad thing. That the opportunity for you to date you may be suffering in your 20s. But again, I think if you can just hang through there and get yourself to a gym and make good income and do well for yourself, with or without a woman, for or not for a woman, things improve as you get a little bit older. This is from the New York Post. 6 out of 10 young men are single. The disturbing reasons why. They say new Pew research has found nowadays 63% of men under 30 are electively single, up from 51%. And experts blame the saucy stuff online as a major culprit. But is that really a bad thing? I mean, is it a bad thing where a guy says, you know what, not really into a relationship, not really into putting up with a woman, but I kind of like to, self-gratify myself, and so they do it, and then they go, okay, clear head, moving on, not going to put myself into a relationship just for really the physical interactivity. Like, I don't think that's such a bad thing. They say young men are watching a lot of social media. They're watching a lot of saucy stuff, and I think they're getting a lot of their needs met without having to go out. Sociologist or psychologist Fred Rabinowitz told The Hill. He said, I think that's starting to be a habit. The new post-bug numbers would surely back up previous research that the bug has made men prefer an evening alone instead of actually meeting a partner. But can you blame them, really? The more time you spend at home and the more time you're on social media, if you're looking at the crap on TikTok or whatever I post over on my Twitter page, at Bachelor Joker over on Twitter, I'm always making fun of this stuff because women are insufferable and horrible. So who blames men for not wanting to get involved? They say just half of single men as a whole responded that they are looking for a committed relationship and or casual dates, a decrease compared to 61% 4 years ago. So in the last 4 years, 10% of men are just like, nah, I'm good. I'm done with this. They say the adults between 18 and 29 who say they are single, 51% of men, 32% of women. And that was in 2019. Now it's 63% of men, 34% women. They say, but these statistics tell a sadder truth about this generation of men. NYU psych professor Niobe Way told the outlet. We're in a crisis of connection, disconnection from ourselves and disconnection from each other, and it's getting worse. The male numbers come sharply juxtaposed to the 34% of women under 30 who now say they're single, which has seen only a slight rise in that age group after the bug. Another factor at play might be the interests of women changing, especially as suitors of the same age are becoming apparently less desirable, experts said. Women would rather go to brunch with friends than have a horrible date, LA couples and family psychologist Greg Mastos said. Well, let's talk about this. Why would men give up on dating? Men are told we're insufferable, that we're awful, that we're part of the patriarchy, that if you don't believe in some of the left-leaning beliefs, that women want nothing to do with you. Movies, commercial, women are strong, empowered, they don't need men. Men are bad, men are worthless, men are this, men are that. Two people see that message, women and men. The women say, you're right, I don't need a man. And the women that want a man say, well, I'll young guys don't have everything to offer because I want all the things. And so they're looking for guys that are more successful or older or established or have more confidence or have more experience. And the men of that age group are saying, you know what, these women are insufferable. Why should I bother with this? Or they're thinking, you know what, maybe I'm not such a great catch. Maybe I'm not such a great person. These women want all these things. I don't have this to offer, so why should I even look? Now, you can look at that as a negative, like a bad thing. But in the same token, if guys say, you know something, I'm not going to waste my time and my resources and my energy on these women. I'm going to improve my life, or I'm going to better myself, or I'm going to make more friends, or whatever. I don't think that's necessarily a loss. And again, they even phrase it here when it says women would rather go to brunch than have a horrible date. That makes the assumption that women think it's going to be a horrible date right off the bat. They say U.S. adults who say they're single overall, you notice that overall men 32%, women 28%. So it's actually a lot closer. But you see the ages 18 to 29, 63% of men are single. Ages 34 to 49, or excuse me, 30 to 49, 25% of men are single and 17% of women. You notice that the women are much less available than the men are of all age groups. But here, as you get a little bit older, you notice here women that are single, as you get older, what do you notice? 50 to 64, women are actually more single than men. And age 65 plus, 39% of women to men. Now, this could be because women do live longer than men, but not really in this 50 to 64 category. And yes, at 65 and up, maybe they're talking to, I don't know, some elderly women that outlive their husbands. But a 65-year-old man, the odds of him dating a woman in her 50s is still pretty good. A guy that's 50 to 64, me, myself, I am 50, dating a 24, 25-year-old. If you keep yourself in good shape and have your collective game together, you'd at least be dating in the 30 to 49 category, I would assume, because men traditionally do date a little bit lower. So you notice the roles reverse a little bit as you age. It's because men can date down. But the women in these categories, the 18 through 29, she's likely dating a guy that's 30 through 49. And that's not the only statistic, though. They say the expectations of American men are also rising in the minds of women. Exactly. The expectations of men are rising in the minds of women. Men are not meeting up to the ridiculous standards of women. They say, according to masculinity expert and University of Akron professor Ronald Levant, masculinity expert, shut up, who added that unfortunately so many men don't have more to give, so it's the men's fault. Men, you don't have more to give, says the masculinity expert. How about women want too much? Let's be honest about this. He says, but perhaps the largest issue now with young men, one highly impacting their social abilities, is that they are, as a whole, more lonely people than a woman. Well, yeah, because they're more solitary. Of course they are. In the early 50s, in the early 1990s, 55% of men were reported to have 6 or more close friends. That percentage dwindled down to 27% in 2021. Now it's 15% say they have no close personal friendships. Now, maybe guys are doing more online and they're okay. I spend a ton of time alone. Here's how many friends I have here in Knoxville after I've been here since, June or July of last year. So almost a year. Here's how many friends I have. 0. Here's how many friends I've tried to make. 0. Here's how many friends I'd really like to have. 0. Like, I'm okay. I like spending time with myself. I work, I surf the web, I look up crazy stories, I'm watching movies, I'm playing video games. I like being left alone. I think more and more guys are starting to be that way. And yes, if again, you're not one of these guys and you say, man, I don't want to be alone and I'm bummed out and I want to, okay, I got you. But you can make friends. It does take effort. That's the key thing. And I think a lot of guys are just like, ugh, who cares? They say women form friendships with each other that are emotionally intimate, whereas men do not. Even while not dating, women have girlfriends they spend time with and gain emotional support from. Okay, that's fine. But they say down here, and this is going back to the article from The Hill, they say here, where can I find the information? Because they actually said in here the reason why they think, okay, here it is right here. Even seasoned researchers struggle to find account for the relationship gap between young women and men. If single young men outnumber single young women nearly 2 to 1, then who are all the young women dating? Some are dating each other. 1/5 of Generation Z identifies as liking each other. And the research suggests that women who like to bat for the same team make up a large share of the young adult community. So what's happening? These women are choosing to date each other instead of men. Because of men. Because, again, men are gross and icky. Young women are also dating and marrying slightly older men, carrying on a tradition that stretches back more than a century. The average age of first marriage is around 30 for men, 28 for women. Straight women are getting more choosy. Women don't want to marry down to form a long-term relationship to a man with less education and earnings than herself, said Ronald Levant. In previous generations, young women entered adulthood in society that expected them to find a financially stable man who would support them through decades of marriage and motherhood. Over the 50s and 60s, that pattern gradually broke down, and today it is all but gone. Right, that's what feminism did. Women are tiring of their stereotypical role as full-time therapists for emotionally distant men. You see, men, it's we that are the problem again. We're emotionally distant, and we as women feel like they have to be therapists for us. Oh, you poor, awful men, how dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you be emotionally unavailable and need therapy from your woman? They say they want a partner who is emotionally open and empathic, the opposite of the age-old masculine ideal. That's what they say they want. But when they get that man, they walk all over him because he's weak and effeminate and he's a pushover. So again, women say one thing. So what do? They go out with a playboy. They go out with a guy. They date the guy. They sleep with the guys that are masculine. And the women say, well, I don't want him as necessarily a romantic partner, but I'll sleep with him because he turns me on and gives me the tingles, right? They say the same emotional deficits that hurt men in the dating pool also hamper them in form of meaningful relationship. So again, it's a deficit. And this is why I didn't want to read this article, because it makes me so freaking mad. Because it's always the men. It's never the women asking too much. It's always the men not giving enough. Guys, you need to give more. Listen to this article here that I also pulled up from the New York Post. I put my boyfriend on a performance improvement plan to save our relationship. I had to put him on a performance plan, guys. He wasn't up to snuff. What kind of guy wants to do this for a little bit of trim? Do you want to put up with her nagging and her pissing and moaning and complaining all the time and saying, we need to sit down and let's talk about your performance and where you need to step up? And guys are like, for what? What am I getting out of this? A headache. Not tonight, honey. I have the headache. What are guys getting? Some trim maybe once a week after begging? Guys are like, no, I'm good, thank you. A woman has divided social media after revealing she put her boyfriend on a performance improvement plan to save their relationship. Nadine Hui, I think Hui is Hui. If I'm wrong, screw it. I'll just call her Nadine. Shared earlier this week on a TikTok that she put her boyfriend on probation. She said on social media to thousands of strangers that really don't have any business about her dating problems, but she put him on blast anyway. When they were experiencing a lot of issues. Ultimately, I felt like we weren't compatible, even though we have a lot of love for each other, she said in the clip. As a last straw, we decided to do a performance improvement plan. For those not working in tech, it's a way to put somebody to get put on. It's what you get good put on.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
It's what you get put on when they're about to fire you. So she's basically saying, look, I'm going to get rid of you, but we're going to do a performance plan to see if I can fix you and improve you, and then I'll keep you around. Does she sound like she's moist downstairs for this guy? I don't think so. And she says, and before you come at me, I know it's kind of harsh to some of you, but he's an engineer, and sometimes it's really hard to communicate with him without using something he can already relate it to. Plus, he kind of liked it. Beta. She went on to explain the couple had a shared note with daily and weekly tasks he needed to do and a set of things that he needed to work on. And it worked out really well. Now, I don't know about you guys, but if a woman comes to me and says, look, this isn't really working out, here's what you need to fix, I'd be like, look, I am who I am. If it's not good enough for you, move along. I'm not changing for you. We're not doing performance reviews. Go find a man that will put up with your bullshit. Go for it. I'm out. I'm done. And you move on. But because he's weak and he's emotionally connected, then he's got to put up with this stuff. And you know what? Good for him. He deserves her. She deserves him. But you don't think that Chad Thunderstroke will meet her at a gym, and if she's looking good in yoga pants, he won't give her the tingles, and she decides to bounce on him anyway, because she's going to be like, well, I'm 3/4 out the door anyway. She said, well, it worked really well, so well, in fact, that they continued to use a similar system for household chores and things that he's responsible for. That has been the only thing that has stuck, and it works. Well, of course, because he's doing all the work to change and to make you happy. And he's probably so pathetic and so loser and has such low self-confidence that he's like, well, I might as well stay in it because I'm not going to get anything better. I'll touch on this one as well. I was going to do this in a video, but I'll just throw it all together. Almost 2/3 of Gen Z admit that they want to ditch dating apps and social media to find love in more traditional ways after admitting online dating has killed true romance. And this is the same group. A survey found 59% of young adults aged 18 to 24 want to meet potential partners in more traditional ways, on a train or at a pub like their parents did. Further, 68% said they failed to find love through dating apps or online. It's because you can filter for the best of the best of the best, and Chad Thunderstroke will sleep with all the girls and have all the fun, and they remain single. And they keep swiping left on the guys that might actually date them. In the meantime, they rack up a body count, and then no guy wants them. But here's the problem, and here's why this will fail. Because what do we hear time after time after time? Ew, this gross guy said to me. Ew, I took his picture to video. Oh, I'm putting him on blast. Oh, I'm sharing an awkward text he sent me. Oh, he did this. Oh, I'm going to share the life on my life on TikTok, or these stories on TikTok. And guys are like, I don't want to be put on blast. I don't want to be called out. I don't want to be shamed. I don't want to be hated on. I don't want to see my name or my text message that I sent this girl on the internet. I don't want her friends making fun of me. I'm out. I'm out. The online thing's not working. In real life, I can't talk to him because I'll get shamed or embarrassed. I'm out. They say they find dates easily using apps and social media, but young people wish they could find love a more romantic way. Well, if you can find dates easily using the dating apps, who are they talking to in this situation? They're talking to Chad Thunderstroke, and they're talking to girls. They're not talking to the average guy. Because the average guy is like, I don't get attention anywhere. I'm not having luck anywhere. Despite new partners just being a click away, almost 2/3 of Gen Z, those aged 18 to 24, say online dating is killed. Okay, you already literally put that sentence above. Nice copywriting, Daily Mail. A survey from memoir writing service Story Terrace found that 59% of young adults in the age group said potential love stories of meeting on a train, at a dance, or in a pub were far more romantic than their experiences and led to longer-lasting relationships. Except, again, they don't want the wrong kind of guy hitting on them. They want just the right kind of guy. And what kind of guy is that? Who knows? And guys do not want to take that gamble and get shamed or get called names or have the cops called on them. So this isn't going to work either, ladies. And now Westminster College offers a course titled How to Be a Bitch. Well, and I'm not even going to scroll down because they have lots of courses that I can't read the titles for or even show them to you on screen here because we're on YouTube. But it doesn't matter. You don't have to teach women this. They've got it. Trust me. They've got it down. And men are just like, nope. If this is where we are, why am I going to bother? Because there's all this headache. And what do most men really want in a relationship? They want friendship. You can get that from a dog or a buddy of yours. They want closeness. Okay, that's a girlfriend. They want to be respected. Depending, maybe they can get that at job. Maybe they can get that with some friends. They're certainly not going to get it from a woman, at least most women. They want easy and relatively frequent access to sex. And you know what? A lot of times in these relationships, it turns into begging, or it's used as a tool to make the guy do what the woman wants. I mean, all you have to do is watch the argument on sitcoms and everywhere else where the guy says one thing wrong and he's on the couch and he's not getting any for a week. Why? It's his punishment. But if a man did the same thing to a woman where he goes, you know what? I'm punishing you. I'm not buying you anything. I'm not taking you out to dinner. I'm not doing anything for a month or a couple of weeks or whatever. She'd be like, that's fine. Lots of other guys will. And she'd bounce. there's just no way this works. And so for you guys out there that are feeling lonely, that do want to date, that whatever, I'm telling you guys, from 18 to 29, get your life together, hit the gym, get those nickels, collect those bags of cash, work hard. You'll be dating someday. Make sure to talk to people. Don't be socially awkward. You'll be dating someday. Might not turn out the way you want, but I'm pretty sure you can get some dates. But more importantly, go get male friends. Go get a group of guys. There's forums and other places where you can go play, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons or board games. If you look up online, even if you're not into, I don't know, Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, maybe you're into motorcycles or shooting pool or shooting darts or whatever. There's tons of activities. You're just going to have to do a little bit of work. But if you do the work in the beginning and you meet that group of friends, then on out, it's easy mode, right? And then when you get into your 30s and your 40s, that's your opportunity. These women are dating up. They're looking for a guy that's got more to offer. And a lot of that now is finance and status, which most men get above 30. But I think a lot of guys are saying, you know something? I can open my favorite saucy webpage in, 3 to 5 minutes, me and my pal Jergens lotion, take care of business, post nut clarity, I'm good. And then they go, nah, screw it. I'm just going to sit around the house and do my thing. And which can be a good thing if you're a man in a good headspace. It can be bad for a man that's in a bad headspace. So a girl's not going to get you out of a bad headspace. I'll tell you that now. But getting friends, improving yourself, hitting the gym, eating right, getting healthy, improve your life, finding passions that you love and hobbies. That's how you better yourself. Then in the end, when everything's going well for you, you'll find that you get the attention from women if you want it, if you want to be bothered with it. And that's where I think a lot of guys are just saying, nah, I'm good. Thanks, champ. I'm good. I'll just do my thing. Guys, if you are here on YouTube, make sure to join me on betterbachelor.locals.com. I got a couple of losses of the day we're going to do over there. It's free to sign up. You can follow me over at @BachelorJoker on Twitter if you want to see all the goodies I post over there. And we'll see you in the next video.